Hey everyone, it's Brian, and welcome back to the More For Me and You podcast. On today's episode, we welcome a very talented filmmaker. But before we get into that, make sure you go subscribe to our channel, and if you can, go like or comment on one of our previous episodes. Every little bit helps. But as for today's episode, we welcome in Jennifer Levinson, who is the producer, writer, and actress behind her feature film called Trust. And we go behind the scenes and talk about the themes of how she created this story and brought it to life. And then later on in the episode, we talk about a film that she picked that's playing for free on the free streaming service Mometu called The Brotherhood of Justice. And if you're a Keanu Reeves fan, you definitely need to check this movie out because it's from the 80s and he is an absolute baby in this. I mean, dude looks like he's in high school. So go check out that film after you listen to this podcast. And as always, we will see you in the pod.
Yeah, that's right. You're tuning in to the More For Me and You podcast. That's real interviews, real movie reviews, real people, real journeys. If you real, lock in. I've been working all night, early in the morning. If you hustle high, hustle, you can never waste a moment. That's more for me and you. 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 Let's go.
Oh, TikTok.
Oh,
TikTok is how I found you. Isn't that amazing? How
crazy.
social media works?
It's a weird place, and it can be good and bad. And I like to use it for good.
You use it for a lot of good. And the fact that like you popped up on my For You page, like that's how it all worked. Like our relationship stemmed from literally the FYP. So thank you, TikTok, for introducing us to each other. But you're
Funny
messaging.
enough, I had heard about Mometu through my friends who did Stupid Games.
Yeah. Yes. You're friends with Danny and Nicholas.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Lovely people.
Great people.
Had so much fun. Actually, that was episode 4.
Oh, cool.
A person that attended their premiere, Chasen, he came to that premiere, and that's how him and I met. And so
Amazing.
he actually, when I said, hey, when you come on the podcast, he chose that film.
Yeah,
So,
cool.
yeah. But getting back to how we met, I think one of the cool things about what you're doing on there, and if people aren't checking you out on there, go follow Jennifer Levinson on TikTok. You talk a lot about how filmmakers are kind of getting the rug kind of pulling out under them a little bit, especially when it involves distribution. So appreciate you doing that because it takes a lot of guts to talk about that stuff.
Thanks. I feel a moral obligation to share my experiences and try and help other filmmakers not fall into the same loopholes or downfalls that I've experienced. So, like, even today I was mentioning I have someone in my life who had paid money to basically have a sales agent pitch a script, which is kind of inappropriate, not standard practice, shady. So when I see something like that, I feel like I need to tell somebody, like, that's not how it works. And I'm no expert. Obviously, I'm still learning, but I think we can all help each other out a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, the little tidbits that you give from your own experience are phenomenal.
Thanks.
And it's not just surface level stuff. I mean, you get really deep in regards to like how you feel. Like you're like, this is my experience, but like I failed in a sense, right? Like you really are saying like, this is not how it should have gone. I thought I had the best deal possible. So it takes a lot of bravery, a lot of guts to do that. So thank you for just being raw and real with people.
Thanks for being receptive to it.
Absolutely. It drew me to you and I wanted to learn more. So then I reached out and said, hey, well, you're a filmmaker. You made your first feature film. It didn't go well, I guess, in regards to getting it out. So how can we help? And that's hopefully leading to conversations that we can get your film up onto Mometu, which I really do hope happens.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. But getting back to you, because I think we can talk about you being a filmmaker and we talk about, about trust, which we're going to do eventually. I want to get to know a little bit more about you.
Yeah.
Because I don't think people share enough about their story and about their journey into who they are today. So let's start kind of more towards the beginning. Like, where are you from? Who are you? Like,
Yeah.
what kind of a kid were you? Like,
So I'm from Los Angeles, California. I feel like that's rare for people out here, born and raised. Grew up as like a sports kid, and then my parents were like, go to theater camp. And then I think they regretted it because I liked it too much. I was that kid who like walked on stage and was like, let me wave. This is so cool. Fell in love with performing, and then when I turned 18, I basically went up to my parents and I was like, you guys can help me get an agent or I'm going to disown you. And they were like, okay, we'll help you.
Wow.
And I think I was so green at the time that I would
Yeah.
just find out that a commercial audition was happening and I would show up. And the first 3 national commercials I went out for, I got like pinned for the first 2. And then I booked the 3rd one and it was a huge Oscar Mayer like Super Bowl spot.
Wow.
And now I think I know too much, so I would never do something like that. But there's something really innocent and like hopeful about that experience. And after that, I studied theater in college, and it put a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth being in this sort of controlled environment that is so cutthroat, where everyone feels like they're a big fish in a small pond. And I went to a school that had, I think, the first Screen Actors program in the country.
Very cool. Where'd you go?
Chapman.
Okay,
Yeah,
Chapman
so-
University. Yeah, Orange County.
Yeah, and to get into theater, you audition, and it might be different now, but at the time you auditioned into theater, a BA, and then at the end of the freshman year, you could audition into screen acting, stay as a BA, or audition into Bachelor of Fine Arts in Performance. So I wanted to get the dual degree in theater and film, but I ended up getting rejected. I was like one of the only few people who got rejected. And I think it opened up this thing inside me where I was like, now I need to prove them wrong. They think I can't be a filmmaker. I'm not going to audition for any shows here. I'm going to go take as many film classes as possible, get as many internships as possible in LA. And so that's kind of what I did. And I think it all ended up being valuable because my first feature ended up being with so many people that I met through Chapman in various capacities. So all to say, you're going to get a lot of like failure and rejection along the path. I think one thing I'm grateful that I have is this need to prove people wrong, because it could really eat you alive in this industry if you are turned off by rejection, because it's the name of the game. And for some reason, for me, I'm like, ew, you think I can't succeed? Now I have to work 10 times harder. It's exhausting. I have to prove you wrong.
It's sometimes good to have a little chip on your shoulder, though. Like it gives you a little bit of a drive, a bit of grit when you go into things.
Totally. So I think those internships kind of helped me get that film experience that I wasn't able to get through that program in college. And then I just started making like online digital videos. I helped an ex-boyfriend get a job at BuzzFeed, and we were kind of like branded online together, and it got the ball rolling for like, how can I use this online persona? It was like the forefront of when viral videos were big on the internet. And so I started getting this following online. I was like, how can I use this to do what I really want to do, which is act or like tell narrative stories. And at first it was kind of a challenge. I thought it would really open up more doors. But I was going in for auditions, and they would recognize me from some really lowbrow videos online.
It kind of played in your disadvantage a little bit.
Yeah. So, it was a lot of trial and error to see what works, what didn't work. And once the BuzzFeed stuff ended, there was a Snapchat show that was called Solve. And I was like, I want to like lean more into writing, because it's so hard to get auditions. Like my passion's always been in acting, but really hard to get auditions. I want more control over how I go into this industry. So
you start writing for yourself.
Start writing for myself.
Yeah.
And then I saw Solve was looking for writers on Snapchat, and it's like a true crime type of show. So I turned my resume, or it was my cover letter, I made it a missing persons file. And
very smart.
Yeah, I made a spec script, ended up getting staffed for a bit on that. And then I was like, I think I might have a chance at this, and started using my own money to self-fund shorts. And then COVID hit, and I was like, I got to make a feature. If I'm going to die in COVID, I need to make a feature, which no one else thinks except me. So it's kind of
there's a
long
few
and
people
short.
that made some really cool features during COVID. We had a couple films in previous episodes that were chosen.
Oh, cool.
For like the second part of the episodes, and one was with Matt Rife called the Private Eye.
Gotcha.
And that was made during COVID, and
Wow.
it's like my guest didn't even realize like, oh, that's why like certain characters didn't interact with each other. It's because they couldn't.
Right.
They couldn't be in the same room with each other.
Yeah.
And then actually episode 3 was The Haunting of Hollywood, and we had this film that she was able to actually film on Sunset Boulevard.
Wow. no one was there.
no one there,
Dream.
like looking like a desolate like street shut down because literally there were no tourists. No one
Right.
was allowed to be there. So
That's so funny.
yeah, there
Yeah.
was actually a lot of people that made some films in COVID, which I would not have thought was a thing.
Yeah,
So-
pros and cons to doing that.
For sure.
Yeah, which that's the thing I think I've learned is, when I was in college, I thought there was one way to go about this industry. Like, you have to be an assistant, you have to do this, you have, like, there are these 6 steps to follow to get to where you want to go, and like none of that is how it is. It's like constantly shifting, and you have to kind of shift with it. And I think ultimately I want to tell stories, and I'm open in various capacities. So I hope that people aren't getting too discouraged by the state of things,
Yeah.
and that they're getting sort of a willingness to just like sidestep and try something else and keep that passion alive, because it is
Yeah.
a hustle always.
I think it's a great opportunity for independent filmmakers to start
Yeah.
kind of taking back their control a little
Totally.
bit. They just have to be able to find financing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just money.
Just a little bit of money.
But if you can help find financing, which we actually learned from the previous episode, there are people out there that are willing to give smaller budgets out there to help you make your film.
Yeah.
Especially for like filmmakers just starting out
Yeah.
to make like a lower budget, like kind of a micro budget film. It's okay to do that.
Totally.
Build up your resume, build up your,
Yeah.
kind of like not just also like what you've done, but also like the data behind it of like how many people saw your film too.
Right.
Because if you're just thinking like small bubble of like USA, like even though we're a large country,
Yeah.
like that's still a small amount of people
Right.
compared to worldwide, where you can put something up on say a YouTube channel or
Yeah.
something and dub it and different things. So
Exactly.
there's definitely opportunities out there to then use that data and leverage it to make your next one.
Right.
So, but before we get into trust, because I really want to talk about that, your first feature, step back to Chapman a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I want to kind of understand like where you've developed from that moment, like being a collegiate
Yeah.
actress, like you're in the theater program,
Mhm.
right? Are there relationships that you still have from Chapman? Like obviously you mentioned Danny and Nicholas. Did you
Yeah.
meet them there? Or
I did. And actually, it's so funny to think about college, because if you're in such a bubble, and it feels, and Hollywood's a bubble too, you just start to realize like things are small, but like if it's not working in this bubble, there are other bubbles. So when I was at Chapman, I auditioned to get into the theater program with this big goal, and I had a theater scholarship, but I quickly realized it just wasn't my vibe. I didn't really resonate with the teachers. It seemed like a lot of like the things that they were teaching us as actors maybe could serve somebody else. But for me, I was like, you're giving us these exercises where like I can't walk into a room and do this like seizure shake on the floor before I go into an audition. I'm going to get kicked out of the room. Like I don't see how these things benefit me. And maybe I was a little closed off to that experience, but I think I was like, I'm here to get on set, and like I have an agent already, and like I want to build up a portfolio. So I immediately started auditioning for films at the film school, and I realized it started to become a conflict of interest when I was missing class to like do films, which I thought was the whole
missing class to go to class. No.
basically. Yeah, I was like, oh, I thought the teachers would be flexible and understanding around this.
Yeah.
And
they're like, no, you need to be here to get your credit for this course. Like, yeah.
And I remember there was one teacher who had me stand in the center of a room and was like, I'd never pay money to watch you perform. And I started laughing, and he just basically went off on me until I started crying. And he went, see, that's acting. And I think that really clicked in my head. That closed me down to be like, no, that's not acting. That's like trying to just pick me apart. And like, maybe that works for some people. Didn't work for me. And immediately I was just like, I smell bullshit from these people. So like, I think a lot of the other students were really invested in what the teachers had to say. And I was not going the extra mile to like get to know the teachers. Because for me, the benefit was getting to know the filmmakers, getting to learn what it's like to be on set. Because like I can learn all this stuff in a classroom, but I've realized like auditioning is a separate art than actually being on set and acting, because you're having to hit your mark, move your hand the same way, do these things. And like, you can't really learn how to do that unless you're actually on set. So I did get a lot of valuable experience doing that. But I think the difference between me then and me now is I remember how heavy it felt when I couldn't get into the Screen Actors program. And I remember being like, I should just quit. I suck. I'm one of the only ones who didn't get in. And then
And you didn't get in because you weren't willing to do a seizure on the floor, you know?
yeah, and then I ended up getting like an equity theater audition in LA that I tried to skip, and the director contacted me and was like, "I liked your stuff. Why didn't you come? You should come
Oh,
audition."
man.
So I decided, I was like, I'm gonna go audition for this play. If I don't get it, I'm done acting. And then I ended up getting the play, and I was like, I think that's what I needed to like reset. Now I feel like I'm so used to the rejection that it's easier to not take it personally, that I know, like, again, that like acting on set is a different art than acting in auditions, and so much of it is out of your control that, like, yeah, I still get a little wound up if I get auditions. They're so infrequent now that I'm like, I need this one. But I I think as I age, I give less fucks in general across the board. So,
Yeah.
and I know I put the work in, and I know there are other opportunities to tell stories besides just this standard way. And that, like, if one circle doesn't work, or I like screw up so badly in one audition, they never bring me back, fine, I'll find another circle to go to.
And when we're younger, though, we also make the mistake of thinking that we know it all, right?
Totally.
So we're a little naive in that sense, and we don't see the big picture when obviously, like, maybe
Yeah.
some of those, maybe not all the professors, but some of
Yeah.
the professors kind of like, hey, there's a process to this. Like,
Yeah.
you may be more advanced than other students than this, but like go through the process that we can help you get to this next step and this next step or
Yeah.
whatever it may be.
And also, I think I've learned now to be a little more open-minded, because maybe the teachers did have something valuable to say that I just was closed off to. I think I also have realized that, like, you can be the best at your craft and go nowhere if you don't have the business mindset.
Yeah.
And for me, that's been the biggest lesson, is like, I can spend every day cranking out, working on my craft, but if I can't even get in the door, it's not gonna go anywhere. And like, how do I maintain the joy of the art with also like having that business knowledge? So
And also the fact of like going to an audition and knowing like maybe you're not going to get it, or even if you don't get it,
yeah,
understanding that person or that casting agent or whoever's in the room is going to work on other projects.
right,
And maybe you're not the right fit for this one, but you're going to be the right fit for the next one. And maybe
Yeah.
that's why that person was like, hey,
right,
what the heck? Why didn't
Yeah.
you come to this audition? Like,
yeah,
I really like you. I saw your tape and I
Yeah.
was waiting for you. Like,
right.
I was about to choose someone else if I didn't call you.
Right.
Like, so
And also redefining success. Like, back then I was like, if I don't book this thing, if I don't book that thing, I'm a failure. And now I'm like, I think it's a success that I made a short with my friends, or that I'm like writing. Like, what can I control? Because there's so much you can't control. And I think it's easy to get caught up in that and feel like you're sitting around. So now I try to focus more on the things that are in my control.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, what's in your control is that you wanted to write something and write it for yourself,
Yeah,
and you wrote Trust.
I did.
Tell us about Trust. Like, tell us why, first of all, did you make this film? Like, not make it, but like,
Yeah.
why did you even start developing the script? I mean,
Yeah, so I made a proof of concept that at the time I don't even think I knew it was a proof of concept. It was a short, and I made it with like my own money, and everyone was doing favor rates. I just wanted to keep making narrative stuff to prove to myself that I could do it. I had just also gotten out of a relationship with someone who
relationships.
yeah, relationship that was like presented online on BuzzFeed as being like love goals, when behind the closed doors it wasn't very healthy. And I had come out of this relationship where I was told like I wasn't a writer, I'm too sensitive for the industry, and so I was trying to like
Another one of those moments where you're like, oh, I'm being told I can't do something.
yeah. And I think at the time I was like, maybe I can't. There was a moment after that where I was like, I had got a job at Yelp. I like decided I was going to quit the industry, and then I realized like I'm miserable. I like this stuff. Why am I?
How many times have you quit the industry?
I think that was it. I think it was like a solid 6 months. And then I was like, why have I let this get so deep in my head that I can't do this? I haven't even really tried in a meaningful way yet. Let me give it a go. So I started writing, and then I had this friend, Almog, from college, who I didn't even ask to direct the short, but I made this short, and it was solid. I'm proud of it. It somehow got recognized from another friend of mine from Chapman, who was working at Tribeca at the time, and she's like, you should submit this and like your other materials. And I ended up getting in, and that was a huge shock to me.
Yeah.
And my friend Almog, who had this viral YouTube channel at the time, was someone I really looked up to. I was like, man, it would be cool to work with him. I've like acted in some videos he's directed for his YouTube, but like, I think he's probably too talented to want to work with me. I'm like beneath him. That was kind of the headspace I was at.
Yeah.
And like, obviously the trust short, I'm really glad I did it. I know some people, and I've toyed back and forth with this mindset of like, why make a short when you spend so much money on a short that you could just put that towards a feature? But for me, it was really valuable to make the short, learn what worked, what didn't work. And I was talking to Almog as a friend about these, the trials and tribulations of making the short. And he was like, well, I'd love to throw my hat in the ring to direct the feature. And I was like,
Wow.
oh, you would? Okay, cool. And at the time, I had just started writing this feature because the girl who played my sister in Trust was like, we should make this like a bigger world. And a lot of the stuff in Trust, it's about 3 siblings attempting to reconcile over their mom's suicide. And my mom's alive, but a lot of the elements in Trust are based on reality. So it just kind of flowed onto the page. And I sent Almog the script and we started developing it. And I was like, I feel like we can get the financing for this. So we were developing it, got it to a pretty solid place. I was taking it around to different people and getting a lot of opinions like you should replace the main actors from the short, me being one of them, with name actors or at least the other 2. And really think about the way you want to package this to get money. And there are pros and cons to how I went about it, but ultimately I decided like I want to keep my people in. I do want Almog involved as the director, kind of move in a different direction there. But if I realized quickly, like as a first-time first-time filmmaker, even if I have like all these shorts under my belt, there's no one who's gonna give me traditional film financing. So I started then going the equity route and just asking people who like saw the Tribeca Laurel and other things I've worked on, and they thought that like, oh, this is intriguing. I also used to work in distribution. I forgot to even mention this, but like I worked in distribution, so I kind of felt like I know once it's made, I know how I can position this to get it out there, to sell it, to like make money on the back end. So I was able to secure equity investments. And one day I called my parents and I was like, by the way, I'm gonna like make this feature. And then my dad said something like, no, you're not, you're insane. Like, what are you thinking? They're the most supportive people. Like I shot in their house. But I think that was like once again, the like push I needed to be like, now I got to make this tomorrow. Now I'm going to prove you wrong. And like, I'm going to lock these investments in and take out a line of credit and green light this thing.
So the secret to getting Jen to do something,
piss me off,
piss her off and tell her she can't.
Yeah.
And
seriously.
she was like, all right, well, fuck you. I'm going to get this done.
Pretty much.
So,
yeah.
very cool. I love Trust. I actually
Thanks.
really enjoyed the film. And for some reason at the beginning, I thought you were directing it too.
Yeah, no, I'm not a director. Definitely, like we had a producer. I was on the producing team.
Yeah.
I tried directing. I like took a swing at directing some digital commercials. Not my forte. But yeah, we all wore multiple hats. I think our budget was, under $500K.
Yep.
Bare bones, and of course, COVID protocols add more to the budget. But I have no regrets about doing the film. I think I learned a lot of what I will do differently moving forward.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
You went the equity route for financing, which is great.
And took out a line of credit also.
Took a lot of credit, which I'm sure, hopefully he's been paid back. But if not, then
Getting there.
Yeah. So you go to make Trust, and you have this beautiful little baby that you put all this effort and time into.
Yeah.
Then you got to get it out to people.
Yeah.
So how did things go with the distribution?
So it's funny. I kid around with my friends. I'm like, they're all having baby showers. Why can't I have one for my film? Like it spent more than 9 months in the oven.
Yeah.
But distribution.
And by the way, I only ask this because like filmmakers have, and those are listening, filmmakers have a very tough time finding distribution or just getting people to watch their film.
Right.
Because of the fact they're filmmakers. Right. Like, and we go about this actually in our film festival for the Mometu College Film Festival. One of the little educational panels we have on is literally on distribution.
Cool.
Because of the fact that you're not taught this in college.
No, that's the thing is, there are so many different ways to get a film out there. And having worked in distribution, here's the thing that bugs me the most is like, if you're making a film, let's say it's under $1 million, especially if it's under 500 or 350K, people have this mindset, unless you're a filmmaker, and I go to so many film festivals, and of course, there's some good, some bad, but like there are incredible low budget films out there. But
Hmm.
people have this idea of like, oh, if it's under 350K, it's a piece of trash. Like, why would I even I don't want to watch it. I don't want to see it. So there's this kind of stigma around films that you're already fighting up against in
Yeah.
these spaces. Plus, if you're a first time filmmaker, it's hard. But I think the main pitfall I see filmmakers fall into is spending their budget before having any financing left for marketing. And at the end of the day,
Yeah.
there are two ways to go about getting a film out there. You self-distribute, or you get a distribution company to distribute. Either way, the biggest takeaway I have is no one is going to care about your film more than you.
For
So
sure.
you're going to get all these promises. They can be in writing. I think most distributors know that the films they're representing at this level, the filmmakers don't have the money to fight them in court, because it would cost so much more in legal
Yeah.
fees. So even if it's in writing, be prepared for some of those things to not be acted
Yeah.
upon. So essentially, in order to get the film out there, you can go the self-distribution route. You can get an aggregator like Bitmax or something, where you yourself get all the licenses. You go through this aggregator. They like QC the film, and then they can list it on like Amazon, iTunes, those standard VOD platforms.
Typical TVOD.
Yeah, TVOD, and then like I think
rentals, purchases.
Yeah, some of them have these like connections with Hulu and Peacock and other platforms like that. But it's a hit and miss. Ultimately, though, you will be the one having to market the shit out of your film.
You're still marketing your film regardless.
Yeah, so
Unless you're paying them to have a sales agent take it over to like France or take it over
Right.
to wherever to sell it to other platforms and such.
Right. So you're going to be doing a lot of the legwork. And in terms of marketing, you want to have like obviously a strong social campaign, strong every email you have, email blasting. But I think there's only so far you can go with the organic reach. And like that's another consideration in terms of like casting, and who you have attached is thinking about like what deals do they have to market the film, because
Yep.
that will be helpful. And I got lucky. We had no deals, but our cast is awesome and just like went out there promoting the film. And then if you do have a distributor, their job is to pitch to these different platforms aside from the ones you can list it on yourself, and then go a step further and also like pitch to have it on carousel placements, which like I can't do myself as a filmmaker, but they're supposed to get it on the new and noteworthy section, or like up and coming horror, whatever the different things are, because again, there's so many films out there. It's easy to get a film buried, especially one named Trust. So the whole point of getting a distributor is so that they support the release. They know how to position it, and a sales agent too. Like I think there are pros and cons to all of it, because you have a distributor, they're taking money. You bring on a sales agent, that's another person taking money. I think what I've realized is you kind of have to not expect the money, kind of toss that aside, and maybe hope for exposure. But sometimes where we get screwed is you're not getting any money, your film's kind of buried. And like, how do you fight up against that? So if you have a sales agent who's going to different territories and helping it get out there, there's value in that. So you kind of have to weigh the value of all these different things. And I would urge filmmakers, if you're getting distribution offers, to be very specific in your contracts, that like you will get pressured to sign something, you will get pressure to take deals.
But even like you mentioned though, even if you get something in writing,
right, you're still,
it's tough because they can still like just not do something, and then you're like, what the heck? And then
but you might as well do what you can to try and protect yourself and your film, because it's a lot harder if it's not in writing. Like if they're making verbal promises about a theatrical release, and obviously things shift. Like nowadays, the theatrical market's pretty hard to make recoupable things with. But you know, if you have something in writing that's like, we guarantee we will try to pitch within this time frame to this many platforms, then at least you have some reassurance and you can kind of like hold them to a standard.
For sure.
Or even like there's an expectation of having meetings. When I worked in distribution, I was in marketing. You also want to know like, what does that entail? What's the cap that they can spend? So there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, I mean, there's I hear too many stories of filmmakers who have films that are like, I just haven't made any money, and I'm like, well,
Right.
who's distributing it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're like,
Another
yeah,
thing.
they give you a percentage that looks really nice, but
Yeah.
then you don't realize that in the small print, in the fine print, it states that there is no cap that they can take
Right.
to do whatever, and
Yeah.
we'll position your film in the top 5 that we're selling at this
Right.
market, but then, oh, by the way, we're taking out $500 to help pay for our flight.
Right, exactly. And I don't think filmmakers realize that. So there's a lot to consider. I think if you do go the self-distribution route, there's a lot more you can control in terms of like, I've seen friends go to like 30 film festivals, some that are really well regarded and others that are holes in the wall, but you're building up this local audience. And of
Yep.
course, that adds up too. But now they're getting significantly more traction than someone like me who didn't really have control over the festivals because it was in
Well, because you signed that away.
right, sign
Yeah.
that away. So there are pros and cons to everything, I would say.
Yeah, we actually had a short film that was in our film festival for the college students, and we had this, we did the distribution panel, and after the festival's over, they tried to get their short film signed by someone,
Yeah.
and someone approached them and was like, "Hey, we'd love to sign your film," and they're like, "Cool," and then they presented them a deal that was just like not good. It was like 11 years. It was like all rights. It was like future IP rights, all
See,
this
and
stuff.
that's where also on shorts, it's like it's hard to get distribution for a short, but that's where you want to be mindful is any future iteration of the project.
That they would own the rights
Right,
to that and all
that's-
that stuff too. So it's just like there were so many red flags, and I didn't see the contract. He actually came to me, was like, "Hey, by the way, this doesn't look right based on the things we talked about in the panel."
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
I was like, they paid attention. That's
Yeah,
awesome,
good,
right?
good.
Like,
That's what it's for. Yeah.
and that's exactly why we do it, because there's so many things that filmmakers can get caught up on. So like, if you're looking at like, say, a single territory, like, don't do all territories for one single person.
Right.
Like, and if you're going to, make sure it's non-exclusive.
Right. And
Right.
also,
So that you can go out and give it to someone else. And
right. I
have
think
like 2-3 people to
filmmakers
even sell it.
with music licenses or like MGs, minimum guarantees, like I am now of the belief, and I got a small minimum guarantee, like a small advance paid up front for the film. If I were to sign a distribution deal ever again, I would expect significantly more, or I'd just try to go the self route.
Yeah. And again, that's also going to depend on your budget.
Right.
And depending on the expectations of what your film can actually do. The other thing we talked about in another episode was also just like the story itself. Is your story what people want to see?
Right.
Right? Like, because you wrote the story for yourself, and it's
Right.
about your own experience.
And it's a family drama. And actually, funny you bring that up. It's probably the least sellable genre ever.
It's not the film itself is very, very good.
Well,
but
thank
I
you.
do agree with you in the sense, like,
Which I knew.
there are some genres that are more catchy,
sellable than others,
right? Like,
yeah. Which I would say you're gonna get people in this industry who are like, don't make that, it's not very sellable. Do make this, and frankly, I am focused more on horror content right now because I'm like, I'm going a different route with the next stuff. I'm trying to like, I have my manager pitching to different people. We're selling things versus like trying to do the financing myself route, but I went against what everyone said. They're like, drama's not sellable. And I realized like, even we premiered at CineQuest, and the film had such an amazing reception that they just kept adding more screenings. And I think it's a film that resonates really hard with some people, pisses the other people off. But I'm like, if you believe in what you're writing or creating enough, you can hear all the things about how it's not sellable, but people can feel your passion, and there will be an audience for it.
For sure.
But you definitely want to be smart about I know drama's not the most sellable, so something to consider.
It's very appealing, but it's hard to sell because this is the thing when I talk to the college filmmakers about like even just the categories they're entering into. There was a filmmaker who entered their film into drama, yet we have black cinema as a category. And I said, you should be entering into this. They're like, why? I said, well, we're going to hit the most dramas submitted, and your film will stand out more as a black cinema film. Same thing for another film. They put it in drama. And I said, you know what? We don't have as many films that are going into the potential pilot category.
Gotcha.
And I was like, if you think about it, your film is a pilot.
Right.
And they're like, what? And I was like, let me walk you down why. And I was
Yeah.
like, if you use this as a pilot, you have X, Y, and Z as like episodes, even if it's a mini series to build off of that. And they're like,
Right.
oh my gosh, I never thought about that way, right? But just by repackaging it in a different category or niche or whatever, right? Like it makes the film more appealing.
Right.
And so people have to understand that when you're making a drama, well, guess how many other people are making
Right.
dramas? That's why they're not sellable. It's not that they're not good.
Yeah.
It's just that a lot of people make dramas.
And that's the thing too, is when you go with a distributor, you don't get to like A/B test what works and what doesn't work in terms of selling your, you're talking about packaging, and it's like
Yeah.
with the film trust, I think there are a lot of funny moments. I don't think it's a pure drama. Our distributor took us because we have a Jewish angle, and they've been marketing it as strictly religious.
Yeah. A faith-based film.
I
Yeah.
don't see it as a faith-based film. There's barely any element of it in there. So to me, if I were to reclaim the rights and just market it myself, that would not have been the angle. Maybe that would have been one audience I would A/B test, but I would sell it more to, I don't know, millennials who are
What's the thing? They should be selling it to two different markets.
selling it to different markets.
Don't package it in one place. Like
Right.
you can sell it as a faith-based film.
Right. But there's I think an even stronger audience with like millennials who are finally given permission to find their own families. Like there's
100%.
Yeah, versus like I actually think this older audience that is being marketed the movie is upset with the message of the movie. They're
Yeah.
like, I actually reading some of the reviews cracks me up. Someone said something like the lovely Jewish mother. I'm like, you never meet her. She's dead in the movie.
She's in an urn.
Yeah, and they're like so offended by
Yeah.
this family and the way that the lead goes about things. So yeah, I mean, packaging is a huge thing to think about.
Actually, how we curate content on Mometu,
Yeah,
we do it in a way that because of that, we don't want films to be just stuck in one bucket.
right.
So when we actually put things like and position them in different carousels, because we do all of it by hand, we don't use
cool.
algorithms.
Love that.
We'll put it into drama, we'll put it into faith-based, we'll put it into family comedy, we'll put it like multiple places so that it's discoverable by multiple people.
Cool.
Because the same film could actually have aspects of different audiences.
Totally.
And it doesn't have to be like a pillar within a specific genre.
Right.
It can be,
Yeah.
right? And maybe it's maybe more one than the other, but it can
Right.
actually lean into multiple buckets. So,
Totally. That's really cool.
You brought up Cinequest, and I saw a lovely picture of you on the red carpet.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, you were
Sierra was
actually
there. Yeah.
on the red carpet with Sierra,
Yeah,
who
I
does
made
our
the
Mometu
connection.
Movie of the Weeks,
That's
and
so
she was
funny.
on episode 7, which actually just came out yesterday.
Oh, cool.
So we obviously
Small
filmed like
world.
a month ahead of time. So
Nice.
spoiler.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were on the red carpet with her. She interviewed you,
Yeah.
and his name again. How do you pronounce it? Your director,
Oh, Almog. Yeah.
Almog. Okay,
Yeah.
and you guys made another film together.
We did. We made a short. It's called Taboo, and it's a proof of concept for another feature
Love it.
that I didn't write, but I'm really excited about it. It's a super cool concept, and I think we're gaining a lot of interest. It's in the horror space.
Yeah.
And something that I'm doing differently with this one is like Almog and I were contracted to produce the short, and he basically was like, I will if I can direct it, and there's a feature version that I'm attached
Awesome.
to in some capacity. And I basically did the same. I was like, if I can act in the short, I understand I'm not a named talent, so I don't need to be attached as an actor to the feature, but I am attached as in some producerial
Yeah. At
capacity.
least as an EP, something.
Right,
Yeah.
to any subsequent version.
And you could also
so-
play a smaller role or whatever.
Totally. So like I think that's kind of built into the contract. So really excited about that. It's fun
Great.
to go back to Cinequest is an amazing festival. They've been so great to us.
Looks
So it's-
incredible. I have not been to that in person. I definitely
Yeah.
want to get up there and
It's-
talk to those people.
Yeah, I would say it takes like one person in the industry to really advocate for you. And Michael, who's like that head programmer, years after we premiered Trust, was like, hey, this random opportunity came up. I thought of you. So it's really cool to still have those relationships.
Very cool. So what's next?
So many things. I'm working on too many scripts at the same time. So I have various projects in like different stages of like pitching, developing, shopping around. One that we're currently shopping around is a horror called Tagged. And that Taboo of the feature we're shopping around.
Okay.
And then a script that I'm still developing and like I'm in my third draft on with a co-writer is called How to Hunt a Narcissist. And it's kind of like my second child. Trust as my first child. This is the second one. We'll be going about things differently in terms of like I don't plan on like self-producing this one. I'd love to be in it if all works out, but the way I'm writing it, much bigger budget. I'm kind of like throwing away that like low budget ideology for this one, and very excited about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's okay to do. Like
Totally.
that's what you're building up to, right?
Yeah.
Like but you can also then go back and be like, I just want to make a fun
Yeah.
little whatever, like little comedy horror and have it be
Totally.
like under 100K, to be honest. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
mean, there's
this,
such a big audience for horror right now.
right. And I think this one has a relatable concept. It's basically like about a girl who is on the verge of a psychotic break, and she's trying to reclaim her reality after her abusive relationship is branded online as love goals.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I'm looking forward to like all these things that you're
Thanks,
doing.
me
I
too.
cannot wait to watch Taboo. If you can send me a screener, that'd
Yeah.
be awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
And the feature, well, I'm sure it sounds amazing. Even on top of that, because I saw the little clip that you put on your social
Yeah.
media, and so yeah, it looks amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, the writer, I love her so much. She really crushed it. I'm excited.
What's her name?
Megan Hughes.
Megan Hughes. Shout out to
Yeah,
Megan.
Megan.
All right. So as far as finding you,
hmm
why don't you go ahead and look into that beautiful camera
Yes.
and let people know where they can find you on social, if you have a website, anything like that, so we
Cool.
can hear your. And to be honest, if you're on TikTok, got to go follow her for sure, because she has like the most unfiltered, opinionated like little posts that I love, and I just like all about it, especially as it pertains to distribution.
Thanks.
So go ahead and read.
Yeah, you guys can find me on Instagram at JenHearts247 and TikTok at the Jennifer Levinson. It used to be JenHearts247 on TikTok, but I got banned.
Oh, no.
And I don't know why. I think it's because I was parroting Bachelor producers, but it was too real.
Mm.
So that's my guess. But yeah, you could find,
You never know why you're getting banned on
Yeah.
TikTok. It
just happens. So hopefully I don't get banned this time around.
hope not. Well, yeah. Thank you for sharing a lot about yourself
Yeah,
and where we can find you. And with that, we'll be right back.
Being a small business is very difficult. And that's why each episode we've decided to shout out a different small business that either we enjoy or our guest enjoys. And to be honest, they have no idea that we're doing this. And on today's episode, we've decided to shout out a company called Art Fair Apparel. And this company is out of Boulder, Colorado, and they celebrate artists, share their stories, and print their art onto t-shirts that you can literally buy online. I mean, you couldn't make this up. And to be honest, the artwork is pretty incredible. So go check them out at artfairapparel.com or check them out on Instagram and hear these stories. Their handle is at artfairapparel. And with that, let's get back into our episode.
Jen, welcome back.
Thanks.
Would you like to play a little game called This or That?
I would love to.
Awesome. Well, This or That is actually brought to you by our friends at Coastline Travel. So if you're looking to go anywhere in the world, if you're looking to book a flight, hotel, excursion, dinner, whatever they want to do, coastlinetravel.com. They'll take care of you.
Perfect.
All right. So I asked 20 questions to every single guest.
Cool.
First question I asked to everyone. The rest of them are all just random. And the last few are kind of get a little more serious, a little more tailored for you. So
Cool.
first one here, tacos or pizza?
Oh, pizza.
Pizza. All right. What kind of pizza?
Cheese. I'm boring.
Boring cheese.
Yeah.
You like more of a crispy crust? You like soft?
I like it all.
Like it all?
I'm a pizza
All right.
fiend.
Cheese it is. Stay up late or wake up early?
Stay up late.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Night owl?
Night owl, yeah.
I'm the same way.
12 o'clock hits and I am just the smartest person. But before then, I'm an idiot.
Love that. Playlists or podcasts?
Ooh. Maybe podcasts.
I mean, you can listen to this one.
Yeah.
If you like listening to your own voice. We have a lot of other episodes too. But yeah,
Perfect.
it's a tough one because I love music, but
Yeah.
podcasts are nice to, especially
Totally.
on the road.
Yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Yeah. You got more iced coffee or hot coffee?
Hot.
Always hot?
Always hot.
Doesn't matter if it's like 100 degrees out.
I will sweat and drink that hot coffee.
How do you take your coffee?
Boiling. No, a non-fat cappuccino.
Non-fat cappuccino.
Yeah.
All right.
Bougie little bitch.
You said it. I didn't. Dine in or dine out?
You know, I love the idea of dining in, and then the moment I leave my house, I regret it. I'm an introvert, so maybe dine in or dine out.
Dine out.
Dine out.
Yeah. It is fun to get experience and
Yeah.
just get out of the house a little bit. Read a book or watch the movie?
Watch the movie. I
Yeah.
used to say read a book. Now it's watch the movie.
Preferences.
Yeah.
It's okay. I hate reading, so
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Or I say I dislike reading. I got to take hate out of my
Right.
my vocabulary. Toilet paper, are we going over or under?
Oh. I think I'm a switcher.
Like does it go over the top or does it pull from the bottom?
I don't know. I think I go pull from the bottom, maybe.
Did you know?
The judgment.
Psychopath over here. Would you rather be able to fly or breathe underwater?
Oh my gosh. I am deathly afraid of the ocean, like so scared of it. So definitely fly.
I love it. Oh my gosh, I can't stop laughing. The toilet paper. Look into your future or change your past.
Maybe look into the future because I don't want to change the past. I want to learn from it and do better in the future.
It's good.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that answer. I respect that. Instagram or TikTok?
I like TikTok because all of a sudden I'm invested in some random person's drama and their like 3-year relationship. But I don't know if it's going to last.
You never know.
Yeah.
Never know. I got another 90 days, so
yeah,
who knows?
I'm going to milk that 90 days.
I know. Walmart might buy them.
Interesting.
Well, just interesting take. I would have said Instagram for you only because TikTok banned you.
Yeah, that's true.
Banned you once, maybe twice.
I
We'll
know,
see.
oh God.
Would you rather owe money or owe a favor?
I'm going to say money because I'm scared what that favor could be.
Never know what it's going to be. Attend a party or host a party?
Maybe host. Then I have control over how it goes down. I'm like a producer mindset.
You cannot host a party. I'm going to tell you. She cannot host a party. Now she's going to throw an epic party.
Yeah.
Truth or dare?
Truth.
You like truth?
Yeah. I'll be honest.
You just don't, the dare thing, the favor and the dare.
The favor and the dare. I'm like, I've done too much. I don't want to know.
What would you rather prefer, success or happiness?
Happiness.
Gotta go happiness.
Yeah,
If success comes with it, great.
exactly.
Split the bill or take turns paying?
Split.
Split.
Yeah, I don't like owing.
It's also tough when you like take turns paying. Like, are we finding like, places that are about the same price?
Right. Oh, someone's
like,
going to get screwed over on that
Oh,
one.
we're going to a really nice place. It's your turn.
Yeah.
Would you rather make one $3 million film or 10 $300,000 films?
10 $300,000.
And why? Because you just talked about wanting to make a big budget film. So
Yeah, if I had the money pot to do 10 films at that level, I feel like it would keep me going for a while. It would give me boundaries as to like the stories I could tell, and I would write within that framework.
Yeah.
And now that I've done it once, I feel confident I could stick to that framework. I just think I happen to be writing something that's outside of that, but I don't want to like personally make that one because I can't even fathom finding that money myself.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like if someone gave me that money and I could tell 10 different stories, that sounds awesome. I feel like I would be fulfilled.
And you should be very confident in the fact because you made an incredible movie.
Thanks.
Trust. So I definitely think you can do 10 different stories.
Thanks.
It also helps 10 different groups of people
Totally.
like make a living. And it's
Yeah.
not make a living, but like,
Right.
support themselves.
Yeah.
Name 2 of your favorite movies first.
Requiem for a Dream
Okay.
and Nocturnal Animals.
Okay. Now, if both of those got remade, which one would you rather star in?
Ooh. Probably Requiem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you do that one?
I feel like, Jennifer Connelly was in the OG one, and her vibe is like the roles she plays are roles that I just gravitate towards. In that movie, she is gritty and going through it, and I just love a gritty, screwed up drama. And I also just think stylistically, it's incredible.
Love it. Would you rather be part of a film that wins Cannes or wins Sundance?
Sundance.
Sundance?
Yeah.
Why Sundance over Cannes?
Cannes feels a little more pretentious. Actually,
Okay.
maybe I was wrong on that one. Now that I think about the substance being at Cannes.
There's no wrong answer.
Yeah, there's no wrong. Sundance feels, something about it feels a little more attainable and filmmaker friendly, whereas Cannes feels like more about like what executives you know. This is all judgment based on nothing.
Have you been to Cannes?
No, and I haven't been to Sundance either.
Okay. We got to get you to Cannes, first of all.
Yeah.
Just to experience it is
Oh, yeah.
phenomenal. The title of Best Picture
Mm-hmm.
or Best Actress, What would you rather be a part of?
You know, what won Best Picture this year? Was it
Anora.
Nora? Maybe Best Picture because it's taking all the elements into account. And I like celebrating everyone who made something happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think it also speaks to the project as a whole versus you can have an incredible performance in something not great. So I'd rather be in the project that is hopefully incredible.
Yeah, for sure. And last but not least, you have to watch one of these films tonight. Are we watching Trust or are we watching Trust?
Oh, I guess I'm drinking again. Watching Trust.
And where can we find Trust?
You can find it on Prime. You can find it on Apple. You can find it on. It's going to be on Tubi soon, I think. But you'll have to probably type in Trust and Jennifer Levinson because I chose a really generic name. But it makes sense. You'll see why.
Yeah, no one uses the word trust in any of their films.
You're right.
Or in any of their metadata.
Exactly.
Totally see that. And hopefully
on
Mometu.
Mometu. Yeah.
We'll see. If it's coming to Tubi, then I think we might have an opportunity. So
Heck yeah.
we'll see. I'll push very hard for that because I
Yay.
love your film.
Thank you.
And if you're going to go anywhere in the world to watch Trust, make sure you use Coastline Travel to book your travel needs.
Yes.
Go to coastlinetravel.com to get your flights, hotels, excursions, dinners, whatever you want. And guess what? They actually they use a company, they get part of an affiliation with Virtuoso.
Oh.
So it's kind of a cool thing. It's like a level up. Like, so
Cool.
if you go through the Virtuoso, like hotels that they have, this network, you get like upgrades, amenities, like all
Love
stuff. It's
it.
really cool. So
If they want to take me out, let's go.
yeah, right. No, but you just book through them. There's no,
Awesome.
they don't charge any fees.
Cool.
They
That's dope.
get all their kickbacks from the airlines and the hotels and such. So
Yeah.
just go and use them. Coastlinetravel.com. And with that, we'll be right back.
Promoting your podcast is hard, and that's why each episode we've decided to promote a different podcast that we think you'll enjoy. And this week, we've decided to promote a podcast called Just Shoot It. And it stars filmmakers Matt and Oren, who have guests on to talk about filmmaking, directing, and storytelling. And to be honest, it has very similar vibes to what we're doing here. So if you're enjoying our podcast, go check out what they're doing on their podcast called Just Shoot It. And if you're interested, you can find them on Instagram. Their handle is @JustShootItPod. And with that, let's get back into our episode.
I tasked you with something to go on to Mometu.
Mm-hmm.
Give this to every guest. Say, go to Mometu, find a movie for both of us to watch.
Yes.
We watch it. It's going to be something completely random. And you chose.
Brotherhood of Justice.
And why did you choose Brotherhood of Justice?
You know, I wanted to see Keanu when he was a baby.
He was a baby.
Yeah. I didn't know Lori Loughlin was in it, but
Mhm.
I needed to see how far they've come.
Yeah. I mean, you got Keanu Reeves, you got Lori Loughlin, you got Kiefer Sutherland.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote this down. We got Billy Zane
Yes.
in there. I mean, young Billy Zane. Wow.
Yes, it took me half the movie to even realize Keanu was the main kid. Like that, I was looking for him and I was like, am I this blind? Has he, like, I can
Yep.
see it. And then I had to like pull up a photo and be like, wow, I am that blind.
Yep. Yeah, and there's one other person that I didn't know who they were, but Darren Dalton as well. So a lot of great actors that were in this like made-for-TV movie from 1986. I did look it up just to see their age, how old these characters were. So between Keanu and Kiefer and all them, they were like between 20 and 22 years old when
Okay.
this film was made.
To play
High
high
schoolers.
school.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
And then if you think about that, so Bill and Ted was made in 1989.
Right.
And so this was made 3 years before in
Yeah.
1986, but like he was 25
Wow.
because he was 22 in this one. So he's 25 years old when he was playing a high schooler in Bill and Ted too. So
Wow.
it's incredible to
That
see
is
like how young you can play
totally.
and what
Because
age
they
you're
did look so young and
very young,
Yeah.
very young. But it was an incredible film. I actually
Yeah.
really enjoyed this one.
it was fun. I think I enjoyed it for weird reasons. Like the music was just so funny to me, and like some of the like cuts or the way that they did a fade out for a scene, like made it so much more dramatic.
Well, you know why they faded out like that?
No, because of
Because it was
commercial
made
breaks.
for, it was made
right,
for TV.
right.
So when you make it for TV, you
Yeah,
have
you
to
have
have
those
those
commercial
spots
breaks.
for
Right. I didn't
to
even
build 'em
think
in.
about that. That's so funny. Yeah, I think it just was it's, you watch movies now and they're so clean and like pristinely packaged. So it was fun to see something that felt a little more rough and like, um, there's one scene where the kids are like near a car doing shady things, playing at being secretive, but not hiding it at all. And that
Mm-hmm.
cracked me up. So I like found joy in these little moments at the high school and like how it was directed.
I love how they're like just like selling drugs like in the middle of a parking lot. Like,
Right.
oh, and no one sees this guy in a black leather jacket. Like,
The black leather jacket took me out. I was dying laughing. I was like, of course the main kid would have a black leather jacket.
and the one though, it was funny because there was one kid that like he paid for like a dime bag with like cash.
Yeah.
And then the next kid paid for something. I don't know what it was, but it was with like coins.
Right.
You could hear the coins drop in the guy's hand.
It was so
Like
funny.
imagine people, no one pays for anything with coins anymore.
Right,
Like,
right.
We're getting rid of the penny for goodness sake. So
Yeah. There were also with I won't give any spoilers, but it built up to moments that high schoolers would not be in, but they so confidently handled.
mhm.
And like moments where like if I were in that situation, I'd be panicked. And like Keanu Reeves is just casually handling it.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
no big deal.
It's almost like, but his character kind of, it seemed believable at that point, only because
Totally.
like you don't ever see his parents,
Right. It's like
Right.
he's an independent kid.
but he also like knew like when he was sitting down, even in the beginning with his housekeeper, because he plays a very, very affluent
Mm-hmm.
character. His dad owns a car dealership is what they said.
Right.
And then, so he's always gone. And then he's sitting outside on a terrace having breakfast with his housekeeper talking. He's like, oh, where's my mom? Is she at this club? Is she there? Is she there? Like
Right.
so many different things, but like he knew what was going on, even to the point of his like brother having the little addiction that he has. Like
Right.
he like knew to like see the signs,
Right.
right? Like knew what was going on. So like he actually played a believable character in
Totally.
that sense. Like he was confident. Right?
Yeah. And it was interesting too how I think oftentimes people are turned off by a wealthy character, right?
Yeah.
Because they're like, you have everything you want. But then you see this dichotomy of like him with his friends and like his parents are gone all the time.
Mhm.
And it makes you feel for him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean he's having to grow up on his own,
Yeah.
kind of. I mean,
Yeah.
grow up and kind of be a father figure
Right.
to his younger brother at that moment. So
Yeah.
and I don't know if maybe it was just a casting thing or why they didn't include the parents, or maybe because it is a made for TV movie. They only
Right.
had a limited amount of time. Who knows?
Yeah.
Character development, all
Yeah.
that stuff, right? So, but it was fun to see him as a young kid. Like, just
Totally.
to, like, it was weird because the youngest I've seen him was playing in Bill and Ted. So, like,
Yeah.
seeing him younger than that was like, oh my gosh, like, kind of did a second take. Like,
Right.
is that him? Like,
Yeah, and also just the way he presents himself in the world of Hollywood and like the stories I hear about him as a person are
Mhm.
just always so positive, and he's just apparently the nicest person ever. So to see him playing this character that you love to hate and hate to love
Yeah.
always is fun.
Yeah. There were a couple notes that I took. One that was gas prices. Did
Oh,
you see
yeah.
that? Did you look at that when they?
No.
So
How?
Lori Laughlin's working in the gas station, and it pans over to where the gas. I was hoping they panned over because I
Yeah.
wanted to see it. 79 cents a gallon.
Oh my God, I cannot believe I missed that. I
Yeah.
think I was focused on her little work situation ship that wasn't maybe
Mhm.
going to go anywhere or not, that I missed the gas prices.
Yeah, I love when, especially nowadays when like there's more, you want to call them a period piece, but going back to like an 80s film, right?
Yeah.
Like that style of film. I always like to look back to see if a film's made today, did they do those little adjustments? Because I've
Right.
seen some things where like, wait a second, that didn't exist back then, or like,
Yeah.
they make a mistake, right? So, but to see an 80s film, like you look back, I always look, okay, what were gas prices back then?
Right.
And like if there's a menu, like how much did food cost back then, or whatever, right? So,
Yeah.
79 cents
Dang.
was
They had
like,
it
and
good.
it was under $1 for the premium.
Wow.
It was like 79, 89, 99 or something like that.
Yeah.
And like I remember when I was like, oh my gosh, I was like 14 or 15. I was playing like club soccer. I remember going to soccer practice at like there was off Victory Boulevard off the 405,
That's so funny.
and there was an Arco gas station, and we always went to that one because it was the cheapest in town. And
Yeah.
like, it was 89 cents a gallon.
Wow.
I remember that. So crazy to see those things. Also the classic like 80s cars,
Yeah, the cars in
The cars in the
movie were
parking
really
lot.
cool.
like so cool. I mean, some of these like the red convertible.
Mm-hmm.
They end up setting that one kid's car on
Oh
fire.
yeah. I was like, wow. It was also interesting, this like justice crew deciding who was an enemy and who wasn't, and how they want to take care and handle the
Yeah, they started out as like this, we're gonna be doing good,
right, and then
and
cross
then
over a little bit.
kind of like they get addicted to doing all this like kind of evil stuff, right?
Right.
So, very interesting concept. Um, as far as the storyline, like, were there any issues with it for you, or like, was it believable? Did you like?
Parts of it felt believable, some of it felt fantastical, but that's like the world of movies and filmmaking. Like, this group of kids, in the parking lot is the example that I'll come up with. It, just having drugs out there. I was like, no one's gonna be that out in the open with this, but yeah, I think the like dynamic of these kids having each other's backs and like thinking that they can like go rough things up and they're doing good. Like, I think it resonates in ways. I think it's not the typical genre that I would gravitate towards, but
Because originally you were like, I think I want to watch a horror film,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
totally makes sense because you're making it.
yeah, but it was fun. And also like Lori Loughlin's whole story arc, whenever she was on screen with Keanu, I was like, why are you with this guy? Like, I couldn't decide if I liked the main kid or not, but I also like when stories make me question who's good and who's bad, and like doesn't just stick a character in a box.
I think with the relationship, it just goes to show, like, I mean, and it's not a far-fetched, right? Like,
Yeah.
he was well off. Like,
Yeah.
he's the quarterback.
Right.
of
And
the
it
high
still
school,
wasn't like good enough for her, almost, in a way.
Well, she was grounded.
Yeah.
She was grounded in the sense, like, you could tell she had a good upbringing.
Yeah.
It wasn't about money for her, but she was also quite aware of the fact that she didn't have any,
Right.
and quite aware that she was dating someone that has a lot. And
Right.
so, like, what were her, like, we never got into her character enough to like
Yeah.
understand, like, well, why were you dating him, and
Yeah.
like, what was it in for you? Like, was it just because he's a quarterback? Was it just because he's rich? Like,
Yeah. Was it because
but then it's
you're
like,
in high school and
Yeah.
like it felt codependent?
mhm. But then there was almost like this like super mature level of her to just be like, I can't be with you because you're in this group, and
Right.
like,
Yeah. Which I was like, cool. I respect that move.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
a strong move. I
Yeah.
think the storyline worked. I think if if it was redone today, do you think that's something that could be done?
I think it can be done. Yeah, I think because it was made for TV, there were moments that maybe the pacing felt a little off at points. But also it's hard to tell when you have these commercial breaks. So yeah, I for sure think it could hold up today.
hmm The cool thing is, like, obviously with Mometu being an ad-supported platform, the made-for-TV movies from like the 80s and 90s that we have on our platform actually work well for us because we can
Yeah.
insert ad markers like
Oh,
right when this part
yeah.
happens. So it actually then makes more
Yeah.
sense. You're like, oh, this is actually flowing. Like, where
Right.
some other movies may not flow as
Yeah.
much. So if you could go back and remake this film, like, what would you do differently?
I think that some of the storylines stayed safe, and some of the ways in which these kids went about targeting people, I would have loved to know a little more. Like, I think the movie could explore some of the dynamics, the interpersonal dynamics between the kids a little more, and see why some people are deemed bad versus others. Like, really lean into that a bit more. There's one female character in the
Yes.
movie, and they don't really like give her much other than that one moment where she ends the relationship. So it might be fun to have and have her do more than just kind of exist for the female or the male gaze. Like, have her have a little more
Yeah.
like explore that, or add another female. I know it's a male centric story, but
But it's also an 80s film.
Yeah,
so, like,
so I think there's
it's
things
kind
like
of
that
like there's
can-
some things that literally happened in this film that were like, oh, well, that could have only happened because it was made in the 80s.
right.
We think about her, like, totally valid with her not having enough.
Yeah.
She could have had a little bit more of a dominant role. Maybe she, like, even be partly involved
Yeah.
and then have to and be the one that pulls away, kind of thing, because
Right.
of it. Like, oh, no, this is not what we originally planned it to be.
Yeah. Or have a little more depth in her relationship with the main.
Yeah, but you saw like a few things, right? You see the typical scene with the football scene where like they throw it into the cheerleaders who are
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
okay, like whatever, getting the cheerleaders involved, but that's the only way they're involved.
Right.
Is literally just because the guys want to just like dogpile and be goofy around them.
Right.
The scene where then you have the scene where there's like two Hispanic dudes in the back of a police car, and the guy calls them Chicanos. Like,
Right.
Like,
That
oh, you're
won't
just
fly.
giving them jokes because they're Chicanos, and it's like, okay, we don't say Chicanos anymore.
Right.
Like, I don't know. It's just those little
Yeah.
things. The fact that stereotypical, like, oh, it was one of the Mexican guys that took my bike.
Right.
Like how they first like, well, he was brown and I couldn't really see him, and he's like, did he have any tattoos? Did he have this? Like they went, like, the actual Mexican dudes actually went more on the deep end of like all the stereotypical features of like why you thought it was. He's like, all right, you guys need to get out of here, and
Yeah.
you're making bad decisions. So there was a few things that were just kind of like, okay, it
Yeah.
was made in '86.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Like I even go back to like some of the comedies that were made like by Mel Brooks.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of great Mel Brooks movies,
Yeah.
but a lot of them could not be made today.
Right.
Like it's just, the humor is not going to fly.
Totally.
Right. So yeah, time and place. It was definitely worth our watch.
Totally.
I'm glad I watched it.
Me too. Would have
I'm glad I
never
know-
otherwise.
Especially even Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
I mean, what flow?
Right.
Like that guy had some hair back then. It was
Yeah.
big, blonde, and just wow.
Yeah.
Like totally 80s. But you look at him today when he played the president in what's that show? You know what I'm talking about, right, Craig? Designated Survivor, right? And I wish they never canceled that show. Gosh, I really enjoyed that one. They just
Yeah.
stopped it like mid-season. It was so weird.
Yeah.
But to see, oh my gosh, the development of Kiefer Sutherland.
Oh,
being
yeah.
20, he was 20 years old in this film.
Such a little baby.
Such a baby. So I'm glad you picked it. Thank you for choosing
Yeah,
that. And thank
thanks
you for
for
being
watching.
here.
Thanks
honestly.
for having me.
Again, if you could, if people have made it this far, like into our episode, tell them where they can find Trust again.
You guys can find Trust on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Zumo, Hoopla. Look up Trust and Jennifer Levinson.
Awesome. And hopefully, Mometu.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming.
Yeah, thanks
and
for having me.
yeah, maybe we'll have you on again.
Awesome.
Thanks for spending your time with us today on the More For Me and You podcast. If you've made it to the end, we appreciate you. Now, go do us a quick favor. Please like, comment, and share this episode. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode with the incredible guests we have coming up. You can also follow us at Mometu Podcast on Instagram and on TikTok. Oh, and for your next movie night, check out the Mometu app. It's free and packed with amazing movies and shows you've probably never seen. Until next time, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you in the pod.